Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PE with Mr. Pincott. This is your virtual PE lesson to support you in your challenges that I've set you for this week. This week, your challenges are going to be focusing on throwing and catching. So this little lesson is going to help us with those two skills. We're going to be looking at how we can catch the ball properly. And we're going to be looking at the three types of underarm throw that we have set in the challenges. So, those three underarm throws, before we continue, are going to be our underarm roll, our two-handed underarm throw, and the one-handed underarm throw. So, hopefully this little lesson will give you the key points to help you with your challenges, and then you can practice at home with doing other sports as well. So let's get started. Our first activity is our throwing and catching challenges. Now I'm just going to use this small little ball first, but you can obviously use anything that you have at home. If it's a tennis ball size, a bigger size ball, or if you have no balls, that's okay. You can use a teddy bear or roll up some socks. Make sure they're clean. And then you can use this to catch as well. So make sure it's soft, because if you do drop it, we don't want to damage anything in our houses. So what we're going to use, I'll show you with this ball first. Now when we are catching, we need to make sure that our hands are nice and open. We don't want to have our fingers closed and our hands closed like this. It's going to be very difficult for us to catch. So we have our fingers open, we have our palms open. And those magical hands. So we're going to spread our fingers and our hands right across the ball. The key points of catching, we are not trying to grab at the ball. If we grab at the ball, we have the chance of closing our hand too early. We might even hurt ourselves and we stub our fingers on the ball. So what we need to make sure is that we let the ball land in our hand before we close our fingers. The second key point is making sure our eyes stay on the ball the whole time it is moving. Let me show you. So our hands spread out across the ball. I throw the ball up and I catch the ball. Notice the ball is in front of my body. It's not too low. I'm not trying to catch it above my head. I'm trying to catch it in front of my chest. So I throw the ball up, I keep my eyes on the ball, and I watch the ball all the way into my hands, making sure I don't grab at the ball, I let it land in my hands. So that is our little key points for our catching. So give it a try on that challenge number 1. Now, the next thing we're going to be looking at is our underarm roll. The underarm roll is very important for when we're playing lots and lots of sports. So I'm going to show us the key points of how to do this correctly. Now, with all of our throwing, remember it's a swinging motion of the arm. Every time we start our swing, we always make sure that it is behind my body to start with. I will then finish at my target by pointing there. Now notice, I have gone straight into my split stance, which means my legs are behind. So my throwing leg is behind my body with my arm. The same hand, same leg is behind the body. I'm going to use the transfer of weight, what we talked about when we were in school with putting our weight of our body onto our back foot and rocking onto our front foot. That's going to allow us to get extra power. So, I'm going to show you how we get the right underarm swing. My other arm balances. My hand starts behind my body. My legs are in a split stance. I need to get nice and low to the ground on my step forward. And then I'm going to swing pointing at my target, looking at my target the whole way. So let me show you. Notice I keep my pointing hand to where my balance hand is. I look at my target the whole way. That is the underarm swing. So make sure when you are doing that challenge, you get nice and low to the ground and you stay really balanced, using your core muscles in your tummies to make sure you don't fall over. Now, the second throw. You're going to use your bigger ball like what we showed in the video. Again, like when we're catching, we have our fingers spread across the ball. We're going to have the ball start in front of our body, and we're going to throw the ball forwards. Now, instead of like transferring our weight before, where we had our split stance, we're now going to use our heels and toes. Heels and toes allows me to get more power again. And I'm using the floor, I'm pushing off the floor. So, my hands are spread out across the ball. I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to start the ball between my knees. I'm going to have my backs nice and straight. And it's going to start in this position. I'm going to be looking at my target. I'm going to have my weight on my heels. And when I throw up, I extend onto my toes. And I push the ball to where I want it to go. Notice, key points again. I finish at my targets. I use the transfer of weight. And I use my eyes to look at where it needs to go. So I'm going to show you my hands on the ball starts between my knees are bent. My weight is on my heels. And then I throw up. And I look like I'm going to fall forwards. That is how we do our two-handed underarm throw. Give that a try and make sure you see how many times you can get it in your bucket in 30 seconds. In the final challenge, there's lots of different skills. You're going to be using your catching, you're going to be using your throwing, you're going to be using your silly dances at the end. So, what I want to see now is we're going to use the underarm throw with one hand. And for this, the key points is exactly the same as the other times. We're going to transfer weight. We're going to transfer weight, and you can start with one leg behind the other. The ball, your fingers are spread out across the ball. You're going to have it, imagine you're starting in your pocket. Your other hand, instead of using it as just a balancing act, you're now going to use this as where you're going to catch the ball when it bounces off the wall. So now this is going to give you a little hint to where your other hand is going to finish. Because we don't want to finish above my head. If I finish above my head, the ball will go that way because that's where my hand finishes. I don't want to finish my hand down there because the ball will go down to the ground. So I want to finish with my hand in front of my body. And this hand is going to allow me to know where to stop and let go. And when it does let go, my hands are ready to catch the ball off of the wall, like what we looked at in the beginning. So make sure I use my transfer of weight. I swing from my pocket up. I release the ball. When it bounces off the wall, I have my hands open and I'm not grabbing at the ball. I'm letting the ball land in my space that I've created for it. Hopefully, these little key points have helped you. Give it your best try. Enjoy the challenges. And make sure you're practicing your throwing and catching, not only in these challenges, but outside if you can. Good luck, everyone.